Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Suraj Dhawan, and I welcome you all on this fantastic session on redefining value propositions of physical events. We have a team of exhibition experts with us today, and I would like to invite them to give you a quick 1 minute introduction about what they do and which part of the world they are currently at. So, Rodolphe, if you could kindly introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Shoraj, for giving me the stage. So my name is Rodolphe Lamez. I am the CEO of Binex Podium. Binex Podium is a company which is organizing a trade show dedicated to the wine and spirit industry. We currently have trade shows based in Europe, in Paris and Bordeaux, in America, in New York, in India, in Delhi, starting this year in December, but also in Asia with trade shows in Hong Kong, Shanghai, and so on. So very international company showcasing all industry of the wine and spirit globally, and happy to be with you today.
Thank you, Rodolphe. For our attendees, Rodolphe is currently in Paris, in France. I would also now request Michael to introduce himself.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Michael Mandel. I'm principal with AMR International. We are a strategy consultant, mainly working with exhibition organizers, associations, and private equity companies, advising on strategy, portfolio, doing a lot of mergers and acquisition work, commercial due diligence. And before that, I've been in the exhibition industry for more than 20 years, worked for Informa and Reed Exhibitions. And I'm also glad to say that I had the opportunity to work in India for 3 years, which was a great, fantastic experience.
Thank you, Michael. Sumit, if you could kindly introduce yourself.
I'm Sumit Gandhi. I am the chairman of Asian Business Exhibitions and Conferences. We run shows, leading show in the country for the building material segment titled Ace Tech. We do lifestyle shows, job fairs, education, property, and so on and so forth. Yes, 20, 25 years in the industry and trying to do our bit.
Thank you, Sumit. We also have Mel Shah with us. Mel, over to you.
Thank you, Suraj. Hello, everyone. I'm Mel. I'm the Vice President for Asia for DMG Events. I take care of the Asia and Asia Pacific region for DMG, and we operate mainly events in the energy sector. That's the portfolio that I belong to in DMG. And the geographies we operate in vary from China down to Indonesia, Singapore, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand, of course, and hopefully soon India too. I've had a very fun and enriching career in India. That's where I started, and it's been 4 years that I've been in Singapore.
Thank you, Mel. As you all know, we have a team which is encompassing almost the entire universe. Michael has been working in the American continent. Mel has been taking care of Far East. Sumit is doing a lot of events in India. Rodolphe. So I think we can give a global perspective. My first question is that physical exhibitions are opening up globally, and let's take a global view of how the business outlook is in each part of the world. My question to all the panelists is that what is the outlook in your country, and by when do you think the physical exhibitions will start? I'll start with Sumit first. Sumit, if you could give your perspectives about the outlook in India. I think Sumit has a tech challenge. Mel, would you like to take this question?
Sure. So for me, since we operate in many different geographies, I'll start with a more of a regional perspective. So across the Southeast Asia region, the trade fairs in most parts of the territories we operate in are back, but they're back predominantly as national events and as events with conditions that we were discussing earlier around only vaccinated attendees can attend, plus if you want to bring in, especially in the case of Singapore, if you want to bring in international delegates, there are ways and means to do that as far as they're coming from territories where the pandemic is under relative control. So, for example, there's a vaccinated travel lane in from Germany. So we are starting to see attendees coming to our events in Singapore from Germany. For markets like China, again, where the reality on the ground is you can only operate national events for the moment, but because of the market being so strong at a domestic level, we're able to operate strong domestic events. And in line with when China or Singapore or the rest of the ASEAN countries open up more significantly, those events will go from national to more regional to international.
Thank you. Rudolf, what is the feeling on ground in Europe?
I think it's very much in line with with what Mel just explained. In Europe, the situation is a bit different. In France, for instance, we have the sanitary pass, which is compulsory if you want to enter any restaurant, theater, movie, whatever. So it has come into our life. And since September, all the trade shows, major trade shows have opened. They, as Matt said, they are very regional at the moment. They are not national, they are already regional, which is a step ahead of what we can see in some territories like in Asia. It's a very strong signal. And surprisingly, in some events from my colleagues in Paris, the country number 4 in terms of attendance for the visitors is America, United States, which is interesting for us. So the recovery pace is good. We are very positive in terms of what's going to happen in the future, but very fragile though, because we are never sure about a 5th wave, a 6th wave in some countries. And even in Europe, sometimes the restriction from one country to another can be different. Nevertheless, we are very positive, and our clients, both exhibitors or buyers, visitors, are very excited, and that's a very strong signal. They are very excited from moving from digital to face-to-face again. So very positive.
Okay, and Michael, what would be your feedback? You are in London right now, and if you could give a perspective in the island and the country, the pond across.
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously we're operating globally, so I'm speaking to organizers around the globe. So, but in general, I would say countries, and I think that what Mel and Rodolphe said as well, countries with a very strong domestic show profile are obviously in an advantage right now. So in the US and in China, for example, trade shows resumed very early this year. So we had the first trade shows in the US already in January 21. With a strong domestic profile. The numbers were lower, obviously, than 2019, but that's really the advantage, having a very strong domestic demand. The other thing, and this is just a trend which I see coming now for more and more shows, in the US, bigger organizers tend to go for mandatory vaccine mandate. So that means, for example, CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, you are just allowed to enter the show when you're vaccinated. I spoke yesterday with the biggest venue in New York. They made it mandatory for all people coming to events to be vaccinated. So I see that as a trend coming to give also trust and confidence to our customers that they are really in a health and in a safe environment. So that's probably the other trend which I see. I think it's still challenging for organizers operating in countries where they're exposed a lot to international profile. For example, in Germany, it's currently a big challenge because due to travel restrictions. So a lot of the larger shows currently also have a domestic profile, but the international community is not willing to travel or can't travel right now. And we talked about China, right? In China, that's the other challenge. When you go back to China, even people want to go out, or you have to quarantine. I think it's still 3 weeks, Mel, right? So when you go to China. So obviously, it's a very long period where you're kind of out of business. So you think twice whether you really want to do that. So that's. my perspective.
Thank you, Mike. Uh, Sumit, you are based in Mumbai right now. What do you think where India is positioning as far as physical exhibitions are concerned?
So yeah, as far as our Indian economy is concerned, we are already on our way to doing number of exhibitions. The EV show, the gem and jewelry exhibition, the renewable energy show, and I think every week the number of shows are getting increased. I feel Indian economy in our scenario compared to the global world is going to be quicker recovery and more number of shows because India is quite fortunate in terms of the demand, in terms of numbers, in terms of robust economy, and it is definitely a challenge in the short run in terms of convincing our stakeholders, partners, exhibitors, visitors to come in and participate in the pre-COVID levels of the new normal, which itself is a challenge. It's not going to get sorted ASAP because there are a number of questions when an exhibitors they do not wish to come in the full scale as they would like to, and so visitors have a lot of questions. And as I was listening to Mr. Goyal today this morning, and he stated that they have an IITF which is lined up, and they are expecting about 75,000, 50 to 75,000 visitors a day. So it's going to be a lot of challenge in terms of maintaining COVID protocols, and it's going to be test of time in terms of events which have a strong B2C angle as well as to B2B. But we anyways are globally positioned to return to normalcy in 23, 24, and it should be a little bit sooner in China, Indonesia, India, because Southeast Asia and these countries are working very extremely hard, and the industry understands the importance of physical events.
Thank you, Sumit. So, what I gather is that all of us agree that this is the time to look inwards. Outbound travelers and exhibitors would take time to arrive, and the countries which are having a large domestic demand, like India and China, USA, can try to do insular events which are attracting a lot of exhibitors and visitors as well. This is heartening. We have to take steps towards normalcy. And once people start getting that confidence, this would only boom up in future. See, last year, 2020 was the year of experimentations. A lot of virtual platforms were being showcased. A lot of virtual exhibitions were being happening. And Michael would agree with me with a lot of obscene valuations for virtual tech companies was also being seen. Uh, I would like to understand from each one of you that why would exhibitors and buyers prefer physical trade shows, traveling, going from A to B, spending money rather than staying in their home or office and trying to attend a virtual event? Let's start with Michael. He has been in touch with a lot of CEOs world over. So, Michael, what do CEOs feel about physical versus virtual shows?
Yeah. So in general, I think it really comes down to what kind of value you can provide with an event, whether it's a physical event or a virtual event. So I think just simply replacing a physical event by a virtual event, for example, let's take a heavy machinery show, really won't provide really good value. So, and I think that's where the challenge comes from, right? It might work in some other industries or services where we have seen actually really good results, for example, in cybersecurity or fintech events, where they just where they really transformed into digital events, and it worked out very well because the audience is so tech savvy and they are used to have this kind of to work in a virtual environment, so it worked out well over there. But as I said before, it's really about the value proposition, and I would not say it's black or white what you do here, right? So it's really kind of how you gonna get actually really into the value chain of your customer, right? So, and I think that's probably the biggest opportunity which comes out of that one. So a virtual event will never replace the physical event. There will be always the anchor, right? So it's really the question, what can you build year round, right? So from online, offline, online, to become part of the community which you are serving. So this is where we are as AMR working on a kind of community concept, working with our clients to help them during this digital transformation process, right? So where you really become part of this value chain year round.
Thank you. I always feel that exhibitions are more face-to-face. Conferences as a commodity can still be done virtually. We are doing fantastic job on this conference today. So Mel, what do you think? How does Singapore face as far as physical trade shows are concerned? Singapore being an island is being super cautious. What is the mindset of Singaporean organizers or the Far East organizers in physical versus virtual?
Thanks, Suraj. Actually, I'll echo a lot around what Michael just said. Our approach in Singapore, very heavily backed by and supported and invested by Singapore Tourism Board, has been to embrace digital as a means to continue offering connectivity, not restricted to 3 or 4 days of an event, but understanding that in our business, we are in the business of connectivity. You know, if you can offer connections, and yes, you know, all of us, you know, we're missing connections which are commercial as well as familial or social. You know, so it's everybody is making do with the mediums that are available, and the economy has not come to a standstill. So the business is still being done, and we've taken an approach where, okay, you know, how can we communicate more? How can we help our customers reach their customers through digital means? And I have to say that, you know, because of the you know, to give you a perfect example, between April and September last year, I was speaking with colleagues at STB almost every week around, okay, what do we need to do? What new skill sets do we need? At DMG here in Singapore, we're a small unit, but we've now got 2 people who are artificial engineers who are working with data relevance, and we're kind of reinventing that space around digital and physical, and it's fun. It's tough to operate a traditional model, but I think we can't keep our heads in the sand and say, right, we will keep waiting for the traditional model to come back and only then do we commercialize. So I think that on the ground here, my feeling is we've gone through the worst in terms of a forced evolution. People are getting comfortable with using technology to connect customers to customers. Of course, we want the physical and face-to-face, but when physical does come back and we are running a fairly sized event at the end of the month, it's complemented by digital, and the content year-round has helped us build community. So I think the future is the continuity piece, and we have a chance here to be a media company than just an events company, and that's really interesting.
See, one thing is very clear and evident, that a cut, copy, paste transformation cannot be done from a physical straight away to a virtual event. There are far more difficult considerations one has to understand before one can make the move. Rodolphe, what would be your opinion on this? Why do exhibitors and buyers prefer physical trade shows?
I think it's a fairly a question that we have been all asking over the last couple of months, because we were really concerned that physical events cannot interest anymore our exhibitors or buyers. But I think what has been interesting for me over the last 2 years is that the value of our events, physical events, has been reset. I give 3 ways of how it has been reset and how we have to evolve. The first element is that now a lot of our industry players have used to replace the way they do business by digital relationship. They go on Zoom, they go on Teams, they are able to do business. In my industry, which is the wine and spirit industry, I've been very fortunate because the wine and spirit are a liquid, and you need to taste a liquid, and a liquid cannot be digitalized yet. As such, being face to face is highly important at some point. You want to try the product. It's the same for food and food products. Uh, but what it means for us at Bean Exposium, it means that we have to deliver an extra mile of a value add on our events. And it's very important for our exhibitors, but also for our buyers. So this extra mile is the following. When we deliver a trade event, how many people do we reach? 20, 30, 40, 60,000, depending on the size of our event. And it's during 3, 4 days only. With the digital side of things, now we can reach 4 times, 6 times this audience by providing on-site digital content, having a supplement on web portals, and this is really important. So, in terms of visibility, in terms of awareness of product, supplementing digital with physical is highly important for people. So we moved from 20, 40, 60,000 people to 1,000, 200,000 people not being on site. And the last element for me, which is very important, it has been this concept of community that we've been playing in this industry forever. I am in the industry of the asset management. I am in the industry of real estate. I am in the industry of entertainment. But the industry, this community, we engage this community 4 days 4 days a year through our events. Now, all the portals with all our digital elements that we have been forced to deliver over the last couple of months, now we are engaging this community all year round. So it's important. So we move from a one-time event to all year round event with, from time to time, physical meetings, which are highly expected by our industry players because they engage, they discuss, they do business, but at some point they mingle, and this is the extra mile. And the magic of our industry, the exhibition industry, is that we deliver the highest level of human interaction.
Thank you. Sumit, you did a very successful show just before the second wave hit India, and people thought that physical shows will be back in the same gusto. So you have the maximum insight, at least from the India side, that why do exhibitors and buyer prefer physical trade shows? Your insights, please.
I am a firm believer that if something can be done beautifully and completely productive in a productive manner virtually, it doesn't stand a chance in a physical format. So it's completely inverse. If we stand a great chance at delivering something virtually, there won't be a space for that human interaction or the kind of input which we're looking at out of meeting face-to-face interaction, which we all champion. If virtually we could deliver in certain industries, like the way Rudolph said about his peculiar to his wine industry, I feel that the latest news which I read about Amazon is that they're going after and they put up the first physical store in US. So there are certain products like which are very, very successful in e-commerce in terms of your electronics, your laptops, your cell phones, which easily form major part of the e-commerce business. And when we talk about experience, when we talk about the process, when we talk about meeting, it's a whole set of emotions in terms of when you go make your house and you select marble and people fly all the way to Verona in terms of checking because it's natural. It definitely involves touch, feel, which is very peculiar in terms of food, in terms of us selecting a particular kitchen or we being interviewed. So there are certain areas which definitely can be incorporated in terms of conferences, in terms of the expanse, in terms of reach, in terms of numbers, as to what we're right now using technology to get in touch. And eventually, I don't see this replacing the physical events. if we look at amalgamation, if we look at what's going on around the recent deal of PharmEasy and Thyrocare, what Thyrocare had to offer for a whopping valuation, Michael knows about the valuation numbers. It was crazy figure. So it was because they offered 1,600 offline stores, because they, at the end of the day, PharmEasy needed that offline support. If we have Lenskart, the kind of valuation they're looking at, there's an offline model attached to an online model. You cannot select a car, used car. There are so many apps which are there. You need some kind of an offline presence in term and an offline presence as well. So yes, hybrid is the answer, but hybrid to an extent of 80-20. I believe for 80%, I'm passionate about exhibitions. I feel it's caused disruption. We saw 2020 was a great year in terms of every Zoom call being attended by a certain set of numbers, and we all have witnessed a certain decline in terms of visitors over the period of time. If we wouldn't be lying, that their numbers have dwindled because of if places have opened up, borders have opened up, travel has opened up, so people are not available. So it started with certain timing that a virtual event at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, or would get quite good viewership. Then it went on to move to hours which are post-working hours, or on weekends, etc. And then now we see that if it's not a real business event which is not available in physical format, and there's a lot of importance to that industry, then it's being conducted successfully virtually. One more thing which always is very different between the international markets and us, that when we look at US, we look at Europe and certain markets, there's a maturity in terms of people coming together and transacting and monetizing the whole affair in terms of exchanging ideas and then taking it right to the end. Our markets are yet to reach over there, that there can be a serious buyer seller meet which concludes into a certain transactional value. What brings people to our events physically is the value which they're able to conduct. So when they go back, they ask us these questions as to what they got. They do a SWOT analysis. We go back to them. We find we need to justify ROI, which itself says that at the end of the day, it's business. So that measurement right now in some markets and certain sectors is very, very difficult. So I think I pretty much covered as to what I feel about
See,
our.
I always feel that there are two types of buyers. One is a curious buyer, and the other one is a hungry buyer. A curious buyer would like to visit all physical shows to look around, understand what is the best available for him. And if there is a buyer who's really hungry, he will just go and buy from wherever it is possible. He will not maybe even come to a virtual show. He will start making telephone calls, start sending emails. And if he's hungry, I'm sure there are sellers who would like to satiate his demand. Physical shows typically are able to give you a perspective, what you are doing, what your fellow buyers are doing, what trends of technologies are emerging, what trends of technologies are dying as well. So on a shop floor, when you spend those 2 days, you are able to internalize what you could do possibly in coming times. And that is why those physical shows are so important. My good friend Seth Godin wrote a book called Tribes a few years ago, and it started talking about how communities are important. When I talk about communities, again, the demand of communities keep on getting changing. Their profiles change, and 2020, the year of disruption, a lot of our traditional databases have not so relevant right now because those people have entered new businesses. Data security has been a very key issue in this as well. Let's have a quick discussion that when we are setting up communities, there is definitely a cost of creating a community and a cost of maintaining that community to see that it is relevant to our stakeholders. So, Mel, what is your opinion? How expensive and how important it is to maintain a community structure for us?
I don't think. I think my answer will vary. Will be very different to what Rodolphe has for wine and what Sumit has for more the design construct. But I can talk about energy. And for me, it's not expensive. It's a critical investment. It's my competitive edge. So investing in that community, using the tools that we've developed with, for example, Singapore Tourism Board again. They created this event community-wide mission whereby all of us came up and contributed projects around, okay, how could we leverage AI for this, or how could we leverage big data? And for DMG, we worked with STB on AI. And that's been an excellent investment, because what it's helping us do is, using AI, we're able to develop relationships that grow our community in areas which we weren't really catching. Because when you look at typical trade fair marketing, it is looking at who went to which show, what's listed in which database of directories, etc. So the way we used to look at data and capturing that data was very, I don't think it changed too much over 10 years. It was looking at networks, etc. But with AI, we're able to look at news as it happens, connect the dots to the decision maker, and have a conversation which is, listen, you should be part of the community, and that way build and enrich that community. So for me, Suraj, it's a constant investment that keeps us connected and therefore relevant. And yeah, I would classify, if I was to drop everything else, that's one thing that we would continue investing in greatly.
So that is the asset for DMG in Asia, and you would
absolutely
keep on investing on that and make it stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So Rodolphe, we can't smell your wine, we can't taste it virtually, but still your community is very relevant. Are you shipping them bottles home, or how are you engaging with your community?
Suraj does want one, for sure.
So on record, I'm a teetotaler. I have never tasted alcohol ever in my life.
Okay, I'll send you my details, etc. I'll send you my
and mine.
And you better not send it on an email, please.
No problem. I think you have to be creating a community and engaging a community. You have to be clear on the purpose of it. So what is it bringing in terms of value to your community? Because otherwise, if you don't deliver value for any solution to a community, at some point you become irrelevant, and you damage also your physical event as a side effect. So in our wine industry, for instance, we had a lot of thoughts about how to be relevant for the wine makers, wine producers, wine merchants, and wine buyers. And first of all, the first challenge was that we are not a really tech-savvy industry in this wine business, because those guys, they are most of the time in the fields, in the vineyards. They are not behind the screen, so they are not tech-savvy. The second element, and you touched that point, is that if we want to go deeper in the business relationship between a wine producer and a wine buyer, at some point you need to ship samples. And wine is a product which is very sensitive to tariff, customs, and transportation. So it's an additional level of challenge. So obviously we are overcoming these challenges. But the key element for us at the next podium was what is really relevant for our industry, and up to where do we go in terms of the business relations intimacy between wine producers and wine buyers. And we delivered three pillars to our community engagement, community management. Number one is at some point we are a media, so we are a source of intelligence delivery. We deliver market intelligence, we deliver vineyards intelligence, promotion, etc. So it's very passive from the end users. So I'm watching a masterclass, I'm watching industry report, whatever. The second element, I think like many of my colleagues, we have been heavily investing in terms of AI, machine learning, in terms of based upon your searches based upon your sourcing, we push more and more product or lanyard or buyers that are relevant to your business. And the number three is definitely bringing the connection between buyers and producers. And the connection is based upon first getting to know each other through our digital portal. At some point, also be able to ship samples in order for you to make to engage deals. And last, which is the ultimate goal, is you meet on site. So for me, it's a virtual circle. One is not replacing the other, but one is supplementing each other. That's how we have designed our community engagement and techie solution.
So if the Muhammad cannot go to the mountain is coming to Muhammad.
Somehow.
So Sumit, I think we will have the bottle soon. Don't worry on that.
You should have not said on over here that you're a teetotaler. You could have.
Okay.
I could have.
Maybe you can get 2 bottles instead of me getting 1. It's okay. So Sumit, in terms of communities, some of your shows in the building sector are the largest crowd generators in India in terms of B2B sector. So what is your opinion on community? How are you refreshing it and how are you maintaining it?
It's quite it depends upon the industry in which we function and in terms of the need, etc. As far as the building material segment is concerned, if we look around, it's been quite firm. It's done well, and I understand a little bit of the wine industry and alcohol industry. They've done well. There are certain industries which have in fact thrived and done extremely well during these times, and there has been supply chain management issues in terms of us, the costs going up and companies taking advantage and seeing a solid return. So if you look at India, I think in terms of manpower, in terms of not having any power issues like China, not having any funding issues, etc. In terms of the capital flowing, we look at our capital markets, look at the way we are going ahead. I feel we are in a very unique position in terms of catering to what the particular demands of industry in which we function. It's going to be more not in our hands in terms of building these communities. These communities are going to evolve, and they will find their places where the business and transactions can be conducted meaningfully. So I feel we are more fortunate to be where we definitely don't have any questions, because we have the largest number of youngest population in terms of the 30 to 45, and the demand and lately has been seen for our real estate sector, for that matter, has seen the biggest breakthrough. So whatever apartments were available, if you look at what's available in Delhi, Bangalore, and Mumbai, the real estate has firmed up so strong. From the last decade, they haven't seen such an outbreak. So a normal. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and there is a very famous complex in Delhi called DLF has constructed premium homes in camellias, etc. They said the price has gone up 30% in 1 year, 25 to 30%, and that's not only one market. That's about all the markets. So I just feel that we're going to have to serve the markets the way they evolve, and they're very dynamic, and the communities are smart enough to reach where the value proposition is there in terms of whether it's digital, whether it's physical, where we help them connecting and putting that value on the table.
Thank you. Michael, what would be your last word on community setup?
Okay. Well, I think I totally agree with my colleagues on this panel, and I think one of the keywords I picked up was being relevant for the community. And we talked also a little bit about data, and I think one of the really good outcomes of this awful last 18 months was that, and Rodolphe, you mentioned that before as well, we collected a lot of data. We increased the catchment area of our shows or of our community significantly with people who probably would never come to a show, but all of a sudden with a virtual offering, they had an opportunity to come. So what I just say here is it's really a question of what we do with all this data and what kind of services and product offerings, apart from the physical events, we're going to put into the market. And I think, Rodolphe, you mentioned it before around search patterns. So I would call it simply the behavioral matchmaking. So where we really see what the people are doing and matching them with relevant people where they can do business with. The other piece, it's buyer personas that we profile with the data, the people, our buyers, right? And go away, for example, the one-fits-all webinar for everybody, what also happened very, very often last year, and be more specific for specific target audiences, for specific buyer personas. And this, all in all, will create a concept, and I strongly believe in that one, where we have online, offline, online events, which really complement each other. So it's not as I said before, the anchor will always be the physical event, but there is a lot of opportunities to get further, much deeper into the value chain of our customers.
Thank you. All of us do agree that physical events are a reality which are going to strengthen in times to come. And our exhibitors would find value when our communities can come and visit the shows and help them do more face-to-face business. Models like hybrid would continue to evolve. In some countries, some geographies, they will strengthen, and in some products, they would take a backseat because people want to touch and feel and try to smell the coffee as well. Maybe one last opinion from each one of you about physical events, and why do you think you have been in this business for physical events? So Sumit, what made you think that you should do physical events? Just one line answer.
When I visited the first exhibition about 22 odd years, 23 odd years back, it's like when you walk and you just see everything so smooth and everything so seamless and so beautiful and like larger than life. Only after getting into the industry you realize that what goes into behind putting this up, which seems so seamless in terms of Excel sheet, in terms of hard work, selling, managing people, stuff like that. But yes, when you walk in the aisle on your event on the day, and you see there is a different kind of aura in terms of what our industry stands for.
See, I'm reminded of the famous ABBA song, Super Trooper, the lights are going to get you. Whenever I walk on the shop floor or the show floor, I feel that ABBA song summarizes how the feeling of the organizer is. That I will never do it again, but I will do it every time. So Mel, your last sentence on this. The aura of physical exhibitions.
I think, Suraj and team, one of the reasons I would say that we all enjoy in-person and physical exhibitions is the social aspect. I love forming relationships and connections, and at the same time, I really do like understanding how various sectors operate and how businesses across. I've operated energy events to a mining event to food and drink. There are dynamics to each sector, which for me are really interesting. And the reason I joined exhibitions is I didn't want to be in one particular industry for the rest of my life. So that's being agnostic and forming connections are my drivers.
Thank you, Michael. What brought you to exhibitions?
Yeah, we're in the service industry, and I always loved to serve as a relationship broker, and it's always fantastic to see when you see that you can help customers, companies to create business. So that's really the virus which infected me 20 years back, and it's still here. It's a positive virus, by the way, so it's not it's a positive virus which infected me.
Rudolf, what makes you think that physical exhibitions was your business to go?
But it's pretty. I think it's very. What I just heard ring a bell in me. It's exactly what Mel, Sumit, and Michael said. I would bring an additional level of insight. Is whenever you go on a trade show, you see people crafting products that they want to sell to the world, and these people, They are on the show floor to deliver something they build with their heart. And I can share with you an experiment. I was at Gulf Food many years ago, and you see people at Gulf Food that you never see on any trade show anywhere. And they are coming in peace. They are coming to bring their product to any buyers of the world. And this is the beauty. You have the world in front of you. You have people that you will never see. You have people with product you will never see. They are just here to deliver it to you. And I think this is this level of excitement for me, which is exceptional. So you work very hard to build a show. Nobody knows how much effort is behind this. When it's the day before the opening, you believe that the show will never be open because everything has to be. You have everything to do, and somehow you have a fairy tale, a fairy coming in the night, and the show opens in a beautiful way the day after. And I think we all know that feeling.
Absolutely.
Very well said.
I think you should. Very well said. I think you should listen to Super Trooper by ABBA. They have the same emotions what all of us have. I think it's 4:10 p.m. It was a fantastic discussion.
Thank
And
you,
I
Suraj.
thank you all for
Thank you,
being a
Suraj.
part of this wonderful physical exhibition ecosystem. We are back soon. And you could all email Rodolphe your addresses if you would so like. You may have to pay customs duties, but that is acceptable.
Very good.
Thank
It
you
was a pleasure
for
meeting you.
moderating the session.
Thank you, Suraj.
Thank you
It's a
all of you.
pleasure, and I think
Thank
we
you.
can call this a close.
Thank you.
We hope to meet you physically soon, somewhere, sometimes, very soon. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.